Hi, so welcome to Maza Nahi Aya Podcast, the podcast where we unpack the Maza Nahi Aya moments of a project. We unpack what went wrong and more importantly, what could have been done better. I'm Ankur Dassani, founder of TIS Living, a TEDx speaker, a published author. Also an advocate for well done spaces. In my podcast, I sit down with architects, clients, and designers, and we discuss their projects, their journey, and the various heartbreaks they've had in their projects and how they came out of it and what were their learnings, and as a designer, as an architect, how they evolved in doing projects where they are able to align things better in terms of expectation with the clients and with the outcomes. So today we have a great guest from Agra. He is Architect Chandan Potdar, based out of Agra, but doing projects everywhere. Thank you, Chandanji, for sparing time with us.
Thank you so much.
And coming for this conversation.
It's my pleasure.
This is a casual conversation where we discuss our journeys, we discuss the Maza Nahi Aya moments. And it could be in different perspectives, like from the client side, from your side, from the contractor side, from the furniture guy side. It could be the different angles where in our interior industry. So over to Chandanji, and if you can just give the audience a little more about your background and your journey and how long you've been into this and what really got you into this field.
So, thank you so much, Ankur, for inviting me, first of all. And the question that you have asked me, how I got into this and since when I've been working, I don't think I ever envisioned myself as an architect from day one, while I was in school probably. But it was a very funny moment for me. My father asked me, my family has always had engineers from IIT and everywhere.
Right.
So, my father always wanted me to go through that process, have my education from IIT, become that. But I knew I did not have it in me. I could not have done, I did not have that aptitude for science that time. So, my father, it was one fine morning walk and he asked me, if you don't want to do IIT, what will you do? And that was the moment I realized I actually haven't thought about that, what I'm going to do. But now the point comes, why an architect? So I always have that knack of imagining things. I mean, I can be in between a conversation and you can take me on a trip to UK and I will imagine myself being in UK that time. I can imagine myself being in any space, any country, any visit. I can read a book and be in those epic moments be it, let us say if I am reading a fiction. I used to read fiction as a child. So when I'm imagining myself reading, let us say the book of Lord of the Rings. So I can imagine myself being in that battlefield and imagine what all is happening over there.
So visual mind you had.
I always had that. And so when I started understanding, and I was in school, I had this subject called technical drawing. And I could, today also if you give me anything, I can see it and I can tell you which all lines are supposed to come where all.
Oh.
So that is how I started, and then I started exploring what actually am I made for. So that was the part when I realized that I have to be an architect. There is nothing, I can't be a doctor. It was not that it was the last option for me, but I realized in that moment that that is the only option for me. I cannot be good at anything else. So that was the whole story of how I became an architect.
Lovely.
Yeah, and then somehow it so happened that exploring the options, possibilities and education, and this is after 12th, it was not something pre-planned. So I ended up in Bangalore. I have done my BR from RV School of Architecture, Bangalore. After that, I don't know, somehow I was in DLF for some time, trying to practice, trying to see the large scale projects. But somehow, there also I realized one more thing, that anything that is monotonous, anything that has repetition, I cannot do that. I cannot do the same thing over and over and over and over again. I'm not saying that that is not a part of design, that is definitely, but that is something that I did not have a knack for, you can say, or something that I really did not enjoy. So eventually I came back home to my hometown, Agra, and there I started practicing. And once my practice started, That is when I realized that I am made for making residences.
Oh,
Residences and hospitality currently is the only thing that gives me my energy of the day. Nothing else.
but this line is. I mean, design is always, yeah. You have that visual mind, and you're dealing with different clientele, and there are always a challenge of kind of convincing your clients and convincing your design, convincing what you are envisioning. How are you able to translate what's on your mind, which is a very visual mind? How are you able to translate that to your clients, that concept, that vision?
You know, what your point is actually very correct. When you start creating, see, there are two methodologies of design. One is something that is already existing, you're modifying it to suit your needs, to suit your client's needs. That is, I would say, 97% of the designing these days. The remaining 3% is actually creating something. When you start to create, so there it becomes very difficult, very, very difficult, because what you are imagining, you have to put it down on paper first, and then you have to get a 3D made. Now, that 3D will never do justice to what can be the reality if you get that opportunity. So, at times, there are very few cases. I have seen myself, I remember, see, always there are certain moments in your life that that will be imprinted in your brain.
Right.
So I remember myself sitting on drums on site, those 200 liters drums
Yes,
that are
yes,
kept
yes.
on site, water drums, and I'm sketching in the room to something that, and there is no drawing, no nothing. So, but to convince the client after that sketch, which is, let us say, 60% of what the reality may be, because you're sketching it on site, you don't have the tools, you don't have that kind of equipment with you that time.
Right.
But there are very few instances in life where the client says, I give up. If you imagine that this design is going to go perfectly well with this area, go ahead and do it. So that particular moment, that is something you are actually looking at, but it is very, very, very difficult to convince the client with that, because they have their own requirement, they have their own sets, and before getting something made, they want to see what it looks like. They have that tendency. I need to know. So when they need to know, and it will not do justice, so eventually it is very difficult to create, to get something, to get it made what you have actually designed.
Right. But how do you address that? This is exactly the same thing, that because they're not able to visualize the same way that you are, and because of that, they want to see something before actually getting done. And
So
not
what
all
you
the
are
times
actually
it is
asking me is my
possible.
trade secret. You are actually asking me my trade secret, how I how I go about it. So whenever I want something really made, and I know that this is going to come perfectly well, and see, you cannot, if you're making a house for a client or you're making something for the public, you cannot have your way every time. So let us say there is a bedroom, kid's bedroom, for instance, a very easy space, very changeable space. I choose and pick moments in the house, places in the house where the client will feel most comfortable. I don't want to, I don't want to overdo or overgo in their territory. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable while working with me. So I'll choose those areas and I will lay low. I will not design that area instantly. Once I have envisioned that space, that this is something really great and it can come out really well. In that case, what I do, I will not design that area, I'll leave it pending. I'll do the whole house so that the client has gained confidence in what I'm doing is actually right. The kind of color sequences, be it the kind of lighting, architecturally, how the space has come up, whether they are comfortable in that space, whether all their requirements have been met. So you have to gain their faith. You have to gain their trust. Once you have that, then I come up with my idea. Okay, like this space is left, and I would request if you can just leave the space to me on how I'm going to do about it. I will request you not to judge this area, not to see what's happening. Let it come out. It will come out great. I'm sure. And by God's grace, 99.99%, I will not say, because I'm human. It's not that errors can't be made, but still, as of now, I don't think there has been a moment where the client has regretted this decision.
Oh, wow.
that we left this. There are always nick and knacks. There are always instances. I remember 10 years back, so I designed a spiral staircase. There was one image I saw somewhere online, or I don't know whether the client gave it to me. It has been a long time. I think it was back in 2011 or 12.
Okay.
So he showed me an image. It was a spiral staircase and he said, sir, इसमें कोई pole नहीं है बीच में. All these staircases are very common these days. But that time, being in Agra, none of us had seen it. I'm talking about 14 years back. No one had seen it. And we didn't even know how to make it. So I started working on it. So this was a kind of an experiment. But when I showed it to my client, he was very much interested. He got really intrigued by it. And he said, sir, let's do it. Let's see what happens. And he was a young chap. He was younger than me that time. And he said, sir, let's do it. And even if it fails, no issues. Don't worry. But I got that free hand. And that gave me a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
There are these moments which give us the confidence of that, yes, you can propose something that is out of the box.
Correct.
You don't have to be regular all the time.
Correct.
So, but it turned out beautifully. And that staircase, there was no MS, no iron, no metal used in that staircase. It was just wood and stone.
Wood and stone.
Wood and stone. Spiral staircase, no central pole, floating.
Wow, that's interesting.
So we started. So we and the carpenter there. Unfortunately, that carpenter is no longer with us. He passed away during COVID times. But he was an aged person, and he also said, "Sir, करेंगे, देखते हैं क्या होता है. Let's see. Don't worry, we'll figure out something or the other. We'll support." And he was skeptical initially, but when he started making it, and he also realized that it will be something great that it will be great for him to show in the coming times. And it turned out beautifully. It is still standing, 12 years. Nothing, not a crack, not a scratch.
Wow.
It just requires regular maintenance, cleaning, that's all.
Right. Some engineering.
It was an experimental engineering actually.
Yeah.
So this is where I think it's very important for us as architects to be very logical. You have to imagine, it is very true that calculations matter. Mathematics is very important. And the numbers are the reality. But still, again this vision process comes. So when we are climbing on the stairs, you have to imagine where the load is going to come. Now you're just imagining, you don't know how much load is there. And you're just trying to balance that. So that is what I did that time. Right. I had a drawing. I had that span, the width, whatever space I have. I knew every dimension. But I didn't know how to balance it. So that is while the staircase was being constructed that I started imagining it and balancing it. Okay, we need to push this up. We need to push this down. We need to incline this. This is what will happen.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was an amazing experience, basically. Yeah.
I think you should make a video or a story around that. People will get inspired.
So my father is a mechanical and a civil engineer from IIT. And this was his topic, basically. It was his field. I told him about it. And trust me, I think my father has never been to an inauguration, but that was one site and he said specifically, I'm going only to see that staircase.
To see that staircase.
Nothing else. I'm not interested in anything else. I just want that.
क्या बनाया है,
कैसे बनाया. And frankly, the first time on the inauguration day, so people were climbing and I was leading some people. I don't know, I was following some people. So the client was showing his house and there were 3 to 4 people who started climbing on that staircase. And I was at the back. And I stopped before climbing it, waiting. I hope everything goes well. Because whenever we used to make it, we used to design it, maximum 1 or 2 people. Me and the carpenter used to climb that staircase. I had never thought that what is going to happen if 5 to 6 people start climbing this at one time. So I was very scared, but touch wood, everything went well. The balance was perfect. There was it was a great achievement for me. You can say no vibration, no nothing. And it was a design element. So this is something that we created that time.
Design element.
Yeah. So this is now we see that mostly people use metal and all. So the achievement was just not that. It was that we are not using any metal and we are creating that.
I'm interested. Next time I'm in Agra, I would like to visit that.
Definitely. Most welcome. Most welcome.
Great. So, Chandanji, just to keep it very simple, what does a well done space mean to you? How do you define a well done space?
See, according to me, well done space would be something that a person, or first of all, before a person, I would talk about myself, a place where I feel comfortable. It is not just about the aesthetics. If you, let us say, you are designing a furniture piece, for instance, now you make a sofa extremely beautiful, but as soon as I sit on it, if I'm not comfortable, if the support to my legs or my back or my arms is not comfortable, for how long do you think I'll be able to enjoy it? Not much. So it is a comfortable space is actually a perfect balance. You have to create a balance between aesthetics, between the methodology, the fabric, the colors. The space has to, when you're looking at it, when you're using it, you have to feel that you're a part of that space. You are not some foreign element in that area, or any other element is foreign. Everything has to make some sense that why it is there. That becomes a perfect space for me. It is just not frankly, it is just not the aesthetics. People actually think, okay, this is looking very beautiful, but can you stay in that space forever? That is what you have to imagine yourself, that if you have to stay in that place forever, it should be perfect for you.
That is where I think these days there's always a fight over balance between design, over aesthetics, over functionality. So there's always a continuous challenge where clients are, or some people see the aesthetic side of things, and sometimes the functional side of things gets missed out, and then the things get realized later. Okay, this was looking good, but now
That is very true. And in architecture, we have learned a phrase, less is more or more is less. And there is a phrase that, for me, design is something that the space will tell you itself what it needs. Form follows function, function follows form. Both the things are there, both the things are applicable. It just depends on how you go about it. Which one do you feel is better? There will be moments in designing when you feel that, okay, this form, I will create this form and then I will fit. That is form follows function. You will feel that this phrase is more relevant here. But most of the times in real practice, the function has to be more important. At least for residences, you have to understand what the space will do for you, and then you have to follow that. And you will eventually get something beautiful out of it.
Right.
There is no doubt about it.
I mean, this is so some example. We were doing a house somewhere in Jharkhand, and there were some elements that were part of the design, and we were basically doing some work there. And when we asked a few questions, like, we are taking jali in a double height space. This is a house. How are we going to maintain it? And there was no answer. Like, no, but we like it. Like, that's good. But, because for us, we always look at both the sides. We always want everything has to be, balanced. There has to be
a balance.
Functional, there's aesthetics, but in balance with functional, practicality, maintenance, all those angles. Anything which is looking aesthetically good right now, later on can be a stress to you if it is not thought through. And eventually, they went for the jali. Like, jali mein thode din mein lagenge jale. Double height.
Nobody will be able to clean it. And no matter how good the design was, I'm sure over a period of time, it'll look ugly. Anything that is not maintained. Imagine being a human. If you don't maintain yourself, how do you expect yourself to look good all the time? You won't be able to look.
Correct.
So it's the same way. You have to think of the house as a living space also. That is a very true example that you have given.
And we always advocate because, see, a lot of times there are somebody, like, let's say it's a family. There are maybe one or two people who are taking the lead to kind of,
Definitely
coordinate the project with designers. And there are people behind who may or may not have some opinions about that. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या है, सब सामने जो एस्थेटिक कुछ डिसीजंस ऐसे होते हैं जो उनके लिए ठीक है, बट पीपल हु आर बिहाइंड द सीन can add stress to them later on. Like, for example, something looking good, but if it requires more maintenance, what's the point? Some items people end up choosing where वो मतलब अब वो ऐसे बचा के रखते हैं कि अरे बच्चे भागे ना यहाँ से, या ये ना हो जाए, वो गिर ना जाए, वो ऐसे. Why to keep something which is giving you more stress? How home should feel, should give you a space where
Yeah.
you can be comfy.
You should be tension free in your own
Exactly.
space.
Stress free, tension free, and something which should not add stress to you. It should actually give you more comfort, more stress free environment.
Home is actually a place where you go when you don't want to be stressed. That is why it is called a home.
Exactly. It's to wind down. And but there are times where, so in our process when we are doing projects, we ask a lot of questions, and there have been times where some people get taken aback. Why are you asking so many questions? Just this is what it is. We want, like, we're asking questions because it has to be made to your specifications. If something is made which eventually you may or may not get comfortable with, and later on you're like, this is not the right thing. But if it is made to use your specific, whether it is from the point of ergonomics or maintenance, or then you'll enjoy that piece for a longer time.
I agree.
Otherwise it becomes like, अरे क्या डिजाइन सजेस्ट कर दिया, या तो फिर क्या डिजाइनर बेकार है, या आर्किटेक्ट बेकार है, या फर्नीचर वाला बेकार है. कोई ना कोई इसमें बेकार आ जाता है लिस्ट में.
That is correct, but now even I would love to know that once you have faced this problem, how do you think you have gone about it?
Regarding
Like if you are asking your question to your client, now you said that the client is asking me, why are we asking so many questions? You have given him the complete theory and everything. What was his approach? I want to ask this because I want to see whether you and I face the same kind of problems or not.
So a very notable instance, an architect friend of mine only came to me with his mother, with her mother, and they wanted furniture for their space. So she's an architect. She came with her mother's furniture. So we were asking, my team was sitting, we were discussing about seat heights, ergonomics, ye wo, and she's one of those overreactive ones. She's like, why are you asking so many questions? You are the furniture people. You should know it. I said, we are furniture people. We operate like experts, and we go into the details because we are the experts. But you are the user. It has to be made to your specifications. If it is not made to your specification, eventually you'll come back to me and say, ये क्या बनेगा फर्नीचर में? अगर हमने सीट हाइट सही नहीं दी, या वो कंफर्ट नहीं दिया जो आपको पसंद है, because it is very subjective. So we always go into that कि फर्नीचर में ना स्टैंडर्ड कुछ भी नहीं है, और हम पूछते सवाल इसलिए क्योंकि कोई स्टैंडर्ड नहीं है. हर इंसान का स्टैंडर्ड अलग है, हर फैमिली का स्टैंडर्ड अलग है. अब किसी के घर में सुल्तानपुर में एक फार्म हाउस किया था, वहाँ सबकी एवरेज हाइट ही 5, 10 और 6 के बीच में थी. अब उनको आप स्टैंडर्ड दे दोगे, उनका कौन सा स्टैंडर्ड है? वो बोलेंगे यार हमारे तो पैर सब वो नहीं है. और एक आई डिड माई स्कूल टीचर्स हाउस, माई from, I think she was my teacher from the 4th to 10th, or English teacher, so very dear person. उनके घर में एवरेज हाइट ही 5, 5.5 है. तो अब उनको मैं स्टैंडर्ड, कौन सा स्टैंडर्ड दे दूँ? उनके पैर लटक जाएंगे उनको मैंने अगर 18 इंच की सीट दे दी तो. सो इट इज़ वेरी सब्जेक्टिव, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस, सो लॉट ऑफ पीपल से, यार आप जो है ना हमें बढ़िया बना दो, स्टैंडर्ड जो होता है वो बना दो. स्टैंडर्ड कुछ है ही नहीं. That is why we ask questions, and that is why we tell them that because everybody has their own likings, have their own certain comfort levels. Some people are used to a higher bed heights, और वो बचपन से उनको उसी हायर बेड हाइट्स पे उठते हैं, तो उनको लगता है ये लो ही तो बहुत लो है. किसी के लिए वो लो ही स्टैंडर्ड रहा है आज तक. तो
so it is nice to know actually, that we are not the only ones who face these kind of questions and problems. You are there also with us.
तो यार हमारा तो और पर्सनल हो जाता है ना, बिकॉज हमारे टच पॉइंट ज़्यादा है. मतलब फर्नीचर, यू स्लीप ऑन इट, यू ईट ऑन इट, यू आर रेस्टिंग ऑन इट, यू आर रिलैक्सिंग ऑन इट. सो यू आर यूजिंग द इंटरेक्शन विद दोज पीसेज मोर. So you have to be even more careful because if you go wrong with one thing, then वो मज़ा नहीं आया, कुछ ज़्यादा ही हो जाता है. यार ये तो ठीक है, तो बस पर मज़ा नहीं आया, बैठने में ठीक नहीं लग रहा है. वो क्यों नहीं लग रहा है? बिकॉज वो कंफर्ट डिस्कस नहीं हुआ. उसका कंफर्ट अलग है, और उसके दिमाग में जो कंफर्ट है मीडियम सॉफ्ट वो अलग है. आपके दिमाग का मीडियम सॉफ्ट और मेरा मीडियम सॉफ्ट अलग हो सकता है. वो कोई कभी मैच हम करें ना,
कभी नहीं कर सकता.
सो दैट इज बिकॉज इट इज वेरी एक्सपीरियंस बेस्ड. इट इज, सो वी एक्चुअली मेक पीपल सेट, यार आपका मीडियम सॉफ्ट क्या है? आप यहाँ 3 सोफे बैठ के देखो, आपका जो सॉफ्ट है ना वो आपके सोफे पे है.
Very nice.
So in terms of furniture, आपके ऐसे कोई experiences रहे हैं जहाँ पे things have gone not as per there has been a surprise or a backfire?
Definitely, these are all those instances which one has to, when you have been in the industry for a long time, you will have to come across that. You will come across one person or the other. I remember for once when we made the carcass of the bed, it was again a long time back. On site, the carcasses were made, and the client reaches the side and said, "All the carcasses are made," and we had called him just to telling him that please go and analyze what the space is looking like. Now, how much circulation do you have? Because you are asking for a lot of furniture, and according to me, there is no space for that. So please go and see. I had requested him to analyze that space, but what actually the call I got after that, Chandanji, everything is very low. Everything is very low. First of all, I had to tell them, please understand the beds that are made, there are no mattresses on top of that. The finishing material is also not there.
Right.
So it has to be there. So the response that I got was, okay, I understand the mattresses will raise the height of the bed and everything, but still I feel it is very low. So I said, see, I'm not going to break the carcasses. For you to understand, I know the dimensions that are there. I know the average height. We have asked that question. We even on day-to-day basis, for us it is like when we are meeting the client, we know what the average height of the family is going to be. So I asked him, okay, you start, what we'll do for you is to make things convenient. We'll keep on adding layers till the time you feel comfortable. We'll do that.
Right.
And I remember it was at 24 inches, he said, that now I feel I'm at the right height. 24 inches from the floor level. And I was imagining, I have seen only these beds, only in palaces, old palaces. I'm sure I'll not get into that, why the palace beds were made like that they were 24 inches in height and all. But I had to explain it to him that please understand that the average height of your room after false ceiling is just 10.5 feet. You're raising the bed to such a certain level. Now imagine if you stand up and if you raise your hand, you're going to touch the ceiling. So there have been instances, there have been moments when it becomes really tough for you. So that is one of the furniture instances that we faced. That is one of the problems that we also faced as a designer.
Right. So have there been cases where your clients, in terms of design or selection of furniture or selection of some detailings, have chosen aesthetics over functionality?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And with times to come, with the coming times, with these rise in the social media and everything, this has become really tough for us. To making someone understand that, what you're looking at, be it an image on Pinterest or Instagram, clients keep on coming to us that, this feels good, this is something what we want. I recently had, not recently, actually just past 10 days back, client's young son, I think must be in 10th standard or 11th standard. He's still in school. His room was being designed, so he was quite involved with that. And I eventually, it took me almost 3 to 4 sittings to try and make him understand. And I don't know whether he willingly accepted what I said or whether he gave up. I don't know that because he's very young. I had to tell him that please understand, you are talking about a silverish black ceiling, black wall, black veneer in a room which has a window facing the north side. There is not going to be any light in your room. You have an indirect light. North light is very good. Everything is very fine. You will have a lot of light. But it is not direct light. The kind of intensity that you're talking about, you're wanting grey floor, grey bed, everything is very dingy. Do you imagine what your mood will be after living there for 1 week? You will be so dull. I'm not saying that it's a bad choice, but you have to understand. Now that is my perspective, and from a designer, all designers are different. This was my perspective, and it took me 3 sittings to explain him that please don't go down that road. You will regret it later on, and once you regret it, I'm the one who's going to be blamed that I did not guide you because I'm your consultant, and if I don't guide you,
How can an architect could have made this room?
So definitely, there have been moments where we have to explain clients to an extreme extent. Most of the times we are successful with time and with experience that comes, but yes, there have been moments where clients have not understood and they have gone, and he had almost actually gone with that. He had asked his father, he went with his father, selected the materials, okay, this is something I want, and getting samples. So he was almost ready to make that room had I not intervened.
Wow. And youngsters these days, I think they are very clear. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're very
and
strong
it was
opinion.
only a result of a social media image. That's all. It was just a result of that. People don't understand that whether that design is made for that space, whether it is functional, whether the color sequences will be right in that space, whether the dimensions of the sofa. So if the room is, let us say, now you would be able to understand it more, if the width of the room, let us say, is 12 feet or 15 feet, and the bed has a long back where the side tables are also. Now imagine that bed is going to go from wall to wall almost.
Right.
What the space will be looking like after that? You will feel as if there is no circulation space for you now. That is the impact that people clients sometimes don't realize what is going to happen if they go with these kind of options.
So that reminds me of one of our sites. We were doing a house in Camellias, and this was for a very senior couple, and they were husband and wife living. This daughter was living in US, and so we were doing their space. So they were not very sure of the volumes and the heights and the space. So what we did was something very interesting. We made furniture out of bricks, and we set up like a dining table. We stacked bricks, made a dining table. We stacked the sofa out of bricks, and we set up as per the layout. And we did this the entire house. We made their bed, we made their sofa, coffee, the master bedroom, and that gave them so much clarity. They were so happy that this gives us, because that gave them clarity of the volume of the furniture, the space that they will get. And because in camellias the walls are also, you don't even get the walls, and you can't go wrong with the wall choice, the space planning. So they were like, we are not very sure about certain layouts. So we're like, okay, let us try this. Let us make, because उसमें क्या cost लगी, एक कुछ दिहाड़ी लगी, brick work लगा दी और बाद में brick work हटा दी. But a small step, but that gave them a lot of clarity, and that gave them a lot of clarity in terms of also they could figure out the electrical plans, what they wanted, because they were actually moving into their house.
Correct.
With
They
sound,
could
with
see
the
what
volume.
kind of circulation is there,
What
how
kind
much
of-
space, where they are going to bang, whether something is obstructing their path, obstructing the usage of the space.
In fact, with that process,
very
so
good
they were
process.
taking out a home theater in one space, and next to that was a dining area. So although there was enough space, they were like, but if there was 1 feet more, it will be better. They took a call, इसमें 1 foot और होगा ना, थोड़ा सा और अच्छा हो जाएगा. Like ठीक है, it was a minute's decision कि अच्छा home theater है, वहाँ पे 1 foot छोटा भी कर देंगे. There is still enough circulation space, and we don't need a lot of circulation space. So, but with that exercise, they could get a space which was more comfortable in terms of volume, in terms of space, and that led to a more satisfied plan for them. And also because of that, they were able to freeze their electrical layout in one day, and their layout never changed. जो invariably which I see in most of the sites,
Very true.
electrical
It
plan तो
happens.
change ही होता रहता है लास्ट तक कि अरे यहाँ से यहाँ कर दो, अरे यहाँ भी switch चाहिए. But with this small exercise, I think it helped them a lot.
See, it is very correct that usually we do this at the. So this is another problem that we face. That is very relevant when we are talking about problems. So once we start designing a house, the client on day one wants. After the first meeting, I have got this question many times from many of my clients. Chandan ji, अंदर से कैसा दिखेगा ये? मैंने कहा, you are talking about what the interiors are going to look like. I am presenting you the first layout, first architectural plan of the house. How do you expect me to show you? I am not the one who will distract you in this way. That okay, distract you, forget about the planning. Let's focus only on what the house is going to look like from inside or outside. That is not what your house is going to be. If your Room is not, if your room becomes small, do you think you will be comfortable no matter how good it looks?
Right.
It is not like that. So at architectural basis, we do this, the same practice that you do. We do it that way only. We ask our clients that please, we are going to mark the complete walls. It is just going to be 2 to 3 courses. You will find where the doors are, you will find where the windows are.
Correct.
And you will realize whether now if you want to shift any wall, any space, please go ahead and do it now.
Correct.
Once it is done, please don't ask us, because we have designed interiors. Now for you it might be just a shift of one wall to, by let's say 300 you are shifting the wall. For you it is not a small, for you it's a very small change. But for
एक फुट ही
us,
तो है, इतना ही तो बस शिफ्ट करा.
but for us it matters a lot, because once you start breaking something, it is like a ripple effect. You break it here, something or the other will get disturbed. Obviously, wall has always two sides. Either it is on the out facade, or even when you're talking about a bedroom wall, let's say. So once you shift a bedroom wall, you're making the other space smaller. You're making a bedroom bigger, but you're making the other space smaller. So you have to figure out all that on day one. So we use the same process on our architectural plan, not with the furniture definitely, but with the architectural plan.
Yeah, we've got deeper into furniture, so we have gone first much more. वहाँ पर और कोई हमें surprises नहीं चाहिए. Where invariably in a lot of cases, obviously we have also learned from our mistakes and seen others making mistakes, and we were like कि जितना processes आप production में डालने से पहले कर लो, जितनी validation पहले कर लो, जितने as you also tell your clients कि spend more time in design so that there are lesser changes. Same things. So spend more time in detailing and discussing and validating so that the outcome is more as per what you want, rather than a surprise later and that Maza Nahi Aya kind of outcome.
That will be really interesting. The day Maza aa gaya, 100% perfect hai sab kuch.
But I have seen the clients who trust and who leave things on you. वहाँ पर I think the project outcomes are smoother, are better, and that leaves them a lot more satisfied also. Where the trust is more, where the trust is high.
Definitely it happens like that. This trust factor gives me a very good example. We were designing this house in COVID. It was actually in the first wave of COVID that the construction was happening. Now, unfortunately, COVID hit, so the labor could not go back home. So the client also was kind enough to provide everything to the labor at their site.
Okay.
Provision of food, stay and everything was there. But eventually there was what they could do. They started working also. The client was also okay, that okay, fine, you can work because you're staying here only. You will need some chores to do. I remember it took us around 18 months to design that house. It was quite a big house. And I got a very tensed call in the morning at around 6:30 a.m.
Wow.
And I picked up that call. It was from the same client, and he was like, Chandanji, everything is fine, but I don't know which bedroom is mine.
What?
He did not even know which room was he supposed to shift his stuff in. Because it was a COVID house, so he could not come to site. I could not come to go to site. Everything was being done with a video call with the contractors and with the team that was working there. Everything was based on that. And the meetings that I had were at very initial stages, where I had to explain him the plan and everything. But once you have disconnected yourself from that site for a long time,
right,
even the client forgot what the layout was like. And it was, I still remember, but it was a very funny moment for me. But that actually explained me that yes, trust is very important. And that client had trusted me in such a way that his house was complete. He was doing Greh Pravesh Puja that day. Wow. And that is the day he calls me up to ask which room is his.
Wow.
So that you get such people, there are people like that who will have faith, and that house has come out lovely.
Yeah. I think that is how the outcomes are. The trust leads to better outcomes.
Correct.
So just to kind of ask you for the listeners also, what is the general design process that you follow? What is the journey that your client goes through from day zero to the final outcome?
See, definitely while designing a space, be it a residence, be it someone's office or any kind of space, any kind of usable spaces. What matters most is who the customer is, what his lifestyle is. I'm now here. Let me be specific. When I talk about lifestyle, I'm specifically talking about someone's residence. What his lifestyle is, whether he's a morning person or he's a night person, how much social gatherings he. So all this input is needed. All this input is needed from the client. That is the first step. I need to understand what they are, who they are. Once that phase passes, then you start designing their house, you start placing their elements, and it's a beautiful journey. You are living their life actually when you're listening to them. So that is you again. You start in imagining yourself using that space. Once you start doing that, then you will realize, okay, this should not be on this side. I need this on this side, and it gets really interesting at times. So the design journey, after this comes the aesthetical part. So as I've been telling you, function definitely was very important. We have understood how they are going to use that space, what the function is going to be, and that is the first stepping stone to the aesthetics.
Right.
We are not designing their house and then telling them that, okay, you
like
don't
this.
need a bedroom. You need a study room more than your bedroom. We don't do that. I don't do it that way. It is only when you come outside the house, whether you definitely when we, and after this, sorry, interrupting in between, changing the topic in between, once that space is designed completely, that is when we realize and we bring our aesthetical point of view. Now comes, function will follow the form now.
Right.
Now your requirements are fulfilled, your life is comfortable. Now, according to me, to make this place more meaningful, you should do this also.
Right.
You should do this.
Now the value addition.
That's a value addition. Now you add values to your design. You add values to your project.
Very interesting.
I have had, their requirements will definitely lead you sometimes to a very beautiful design. I remember designing a house where 3 brothers were living on top of each other, and they had multiple floors. And all the brothers came to me at different times. I had different meetings with different brothers. So there were 3, I was practically designing 3 houses on the same area. And all of the brothers had one requirement. I don't know why this requirement had cropped up and how this came into picture. They all said that when we come to our balcony, I want to see the sky.
Okay.
And the tricky part was who was living at the bottommost floor. How's he going to see the sky? So obviously it's a single family, it's a joint family. So the parking was supposed to be. So we were building on stilts. We had a stilt floor for parking and parking purposes. So the first family came on the first floor. Now I was wondering, there are 3 floors above this. How is the first floor guy going to see the sky?
Right.
So that was the time and a way to explain that, form will follow the function. They gave me a function, they gave me a functionality of that space, they gave me the requirement, and the design came according to that.
Right.
And it turned out to be very interesting. We had to deal with angular spaces, curved spaces, and come up with pockets where everybody saw the sky finally. So there was direct light. And once you see your imagination take picture, it is marvelous actually. There is that feeling, I don't know whether it can be compared to anything else, but you really need to feel it yourself, that, something that you designed or you imagined the first day, and once it is complete, you realize that it is exactly what you imagined it. That is one way. And there have been times when you have imagined something and there have been goof-ups, there have been interventions. People have told me that, okay, this is looking nice, but we want this also now. So all of a sudden, once the space is made, how do you need this now? Why didn't you need it earlier?
Right.
So with time and practice, you get into that habit of, again, that is also one of the methodology, SOP you can say. It's a standard operating procedure for us. We guide the people out of our own experiences of multiple clientele, multiple cities, that you just think about it. Will you require this also? Will you need it?
Right.
If you need it, then please let us know now only.
Correct.
Don't tell us later on.
Correct. You've built your checklist of
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. So, and that checklist is keeps on increasing with time to time.
And with
Then,
every family.
with every family, you have
Different cultures, different families, different members
different
give you
members,
new.
different age groups.
Yeah.
I have seen people asking, a toddler, he wants a jacuzzi in his room, and it is very difficult to explain. Now the grandfather is there and he's saying that my grandson needs a bathtub or a jacuzzi in his washroom, you need to give it. And it is a very good practical thing, but I have to really explain him that, sir, please try and understand, he cannot be left there without any supervision. He's a small kid, and I don't think it is better you do it with you, because you will have to keep running here and there with your chores. You
Right.
can't stay with him forever.
Right.
So you keep on experiencing different things with every site, with every moment.
So, what has been the craziest demand of a design or a form or a function which you've got? कि हमें ये चाहिए.
I think I just quoted that example. That was
That sky one.
that was the sky one. Everybody wanted to see the sky. That was the trickiest one.
Right.
And one more was there, I remember, and that was a great learning experience. I don't think I learned about material, what kinds of material, what category of materials are there ever more in any other project. And that was the turning point also for me for material understanding. I got a client back in 2015, a very educated person, elderly, highly qualified. I till now also, if that time after, while I was making the house, he was like that kind of person, that QC. If he approves of something, that means it is correct.
Right.
There is no flaw in that.
Right.
You're doing the right thing. He was a highly, I think he had his doctorate and PhD and everything. He came to me with a house, and that was the first time I told my client that I'll have to think about it whether I'll be able to do your project or not.
Okay.
And his demand was, except my doors. Now you are into furniture, so you will understand what I'm trying to say. I don't want wood in my house.
Okay.
Except my doors, bedroom and toilet doors. I don't want wood in my house. I don't want any wall panelings. And this is, I'm talking about 2014 and 15.
Right.
I don't want any wall panelings. I want my wardrobes without wardrobe shutters. Everything should be without wood.
Wow. So,
Chalk hut, be it the wood frame, chalk hut frame, anything that is fixed, no wall panelings, no furniture, no bed, should be without that. It should be with wood.
So what did you make?
The bed also has to be without wood.
So what did you end up making it on?
I took around 10 days to revert to him, just to do a lot of research and to list out items for myself which can be sustainable to do for that kind of use, for a bed, for a sofa, for wardrobes, all the kind of functions, vanities, kitchen, everything that I can use and which will not be wood.
Wow. So you researched on materials, you researched on alternates.
That was, I had to travel to places, I had to understand, I had to contact people to understand how this, whether you are publishing, once you see online, then you start calling up people, okay, you sell this material, do you think it can be used this way also? Meeting a lot of them, and it was an amazing journey for me.
Yeah.
That time I was like, how is this possible? This person is not being practical. My client is not being practical. You cannot imagine a house without wood. But it was actually possible. And then after that, the trickiest part was creating designs now. You can't have tile or stone or glass in every room. Now glass also on the wall, you cannot use it without any paneling.
Right.
You need to find materials to stick it also.
Right.
Stick it to. So all those technical things, we had to list it down and calculated with number of spaces that were there. Okay, this is the space. We have, let us say, 6 bedrooms. So I need 6 type of designs now, and I need 6 type of materials which can be used.
Right.
Now the beds are there, cast iron obviously, but you cannot have all the beds of cast iron, so you need to find other materials in which you can give a design element also. But so that is one of the most craziest things that I've heard.
Interesting.
And It turned out well.
Turned out well. With
So
a
these
lot
are
of
all those
effort.
challenging. These are all those challenging moments that we have
Yeah.
gone through.
Right.
So one fine day, I'm getting a call from the client 4 years later. कि चंदन जी वहाँ पे ना there is leakage happening. Staircase से चंदन भाई पूरा पानी निकल रहा है, पानी बह रहा है. And I'm like, and he was on the first floor. He was complaining about the first floor. Now, luckily, in my methodology, I have always kept post execution videos, photographs. I try to keep them as much as possible in my records. So, although it had been 6 years, but I was very sure that there is no pipeline, no supply, no drainage, nothing happening there. So, how can there be a leakage from that point? So, we ended up, हमने पूरा का पूरा उसको scrap किया, terrace से we found out. So, what happened was, so you order material in multiple stages. ठीक है, उसमें क्या था, उन्होंने मेन पाइपलाइन लिया सुप्रीम कंपनी का. लेट अस अज्यूम, आई डोंट नो व्हाट ब्रांड्स वर देयर, आई एम नॉट स्पेसिफाइंग. एंड द एल्बोज, सो द प्लम्बर मस्ट हैव ऑर्डर्ड कि एक इमरजेंसी में एल्बो चाहिए, उसने लेकर लेटेस्ट से उसने आशीर्वाद की लगा दी. नाउ दे वर नॉट फिटिंग, इट्स नॉट लाइक अ पजल पीस नाउ. तो कहीं ना कहीं इट वाज टाइट और इट वाज नॉट गेटिंग इंसर्टेड प्रॉपर्ली. उसने किया क्या, एल्बो को अंदर से ब्लेड से, हैक्सो ब्लेड से ही स्क्रैप्ड इट टू इंक्रीज द डाया. And now, unfortunately, this turned out, now this is what I discovered when I found out the problem. So when I discovered, I saw कि उसने elbow को अंदर से scrap करके, he has increased the internal dia of the pipe so that he could fit it.
My God.
Now, while doing that, because the tools that they use, they must be thick or sharp. Elbow के bend on the right at the 90 degree, there was a small puncture there.
Oh.
And unfortunately, while testing, we never found out this problem. There was no error. The test went, the pressure test was absolutely perfect. So unfortunately, this elbow came into the hot water line. Now, later on, I started finding out what all the client had been complaining is happening in his house. So it was all connected to this. So due to that hot water, what happened was that small puncture eventually gave away.
Of course.
With a temperature, constant temperature of 45 degrees, 50 degrees, 60 degrees, it gave away. And the client had been complaining for 4 years that मेरे घर पे पानी बहुत जल्दी खाली हो जाता है. I have got the element of geysers and heat pumps changed multiple times. Every season I have to get them changed. I am still not getting proper hot water supply. So once I still have that video with me, once I saw that, it was like there was a fountain flowing. And imagine this was on the 4th floor. 4th floor ka floor level pe this error was happening and the leakage had reached to the 1st floor ground.
My God.
That means ground ka floor roof. It had reached till that level. That is when we started finding out what the hell is happening. So this is, this is the kind of errors which have given us a learning. It is a learning process for us also, because these are those errors which you have never calculated in your life. You will never. And why we could not check, or any supervisor or anybody could not check, because there was no staircase to lead there. We never had a staircase to lead up to that level at that stage, because it was an extra floor that we were constructing on site.
Right.
So there was nothing, no way for us to approach that. And we always assumed that whenever we asked, he said, yes sir, everything is over the floor. Nothing is going to go inside. So one fine day, once everything is over, when the site is finished, the staircase are done, then you find out that everything is complete. Now you cannot break the site altogether. You just hope that the pressure test is fine. Yes, it is fine. And at that stage, it was absolutely perfect. It was over a due course of time that this happened.
And it gave way.
So they are very small learning things that definitely have helped us.
Right.
It was always, it has always been an eye opener.
I mean, you will always look at the piping once again and triple check it every time now.
Check. So I am very particular that so since that date, that is 2000, it has been 9 to 10 years that this error happened.
Sure.
And I have been very, very, very specific that none of my supply lines are going to go inside the floor ever. Be it the ground, first, terrace, I don't care.
Any floor.
Nothing is. Not even the drainage of an air conditioner is going to go inside the floor. Everything has to be above the floor. I can't take a risk of that, because once it is below the stone or the flooring,
right,
you will not find it out.
Yeah. Unless it's really worsened up. So, to end it, and you could, so a few tips you would like to leave maybe homeowners. इसमें आप अपना थोड़ा दिल की बातें बोल सकते हो कि कौन सी बातों को where you would leave them so that they get better homes. Maybe tips for them how to deal, or the right inputs, and a few tips for designers who are making homes for others.
So, yeah, there are a lot of things that I would like people to know. First of all, one request of mine would be to my clients or to anyone, whoever comes or whoever designs a house, please be clear for yourself first. I have seen so many fights between families, especially between a husband and a wife in my office because of disagreement.
Yeah.
And trust me, I really don't want to be the cause of anyone's divorce. And
But you end up being the mediator also. You have to
it
sometimes.
is very challenging. It is very challenging. They are asking me to take sides. Now, who am I supposed to take side with? I cannot side with the husband or the wife, and I have to make the house comfortable for both of them. So you have to be really quiet that time. Okay, first you sort it out amongst yourselves, then please tell me. So this is my humble request to people. Please sort it out first.
Internally.
Don't make us the reason. Don't make us the bali ka bakra. Secondly, my humble request would be another, please use less social media.
Yeah.
If a person is already telling me what they want, how am I to use my talent? You are coming to me and telling me that I need this table. Okay, if you need this table, go ahead, go to someone. Somebody is going to provide you this table. Now you figure out how it is going to be put. You're expecting me to design a 2 feet table with a 4 feet wall, 2 feet table with a 14 feet wall. 2 feet console with on a 14 feet wall. Makes no sense. You have to think. Let the architect or the designer tell you what the space needs. You will have a say. Obviously, it is your home. You need to feel comfortable in that space. But definitely you need to understand that a space will tell you what it needs. And that is why we are there. We are the ones to envision it. We are the ones to understand what is going to happen and what the end result will be. What you are looking at is just one single item. What we are looking at is the whole space. How it is going to blend with that space. That is also very important. So those are my 2 key pointers that I feel that somebody should always know.
Right. And something for the design fraternity, your peers. So maybe the newcomer especially, of course.
So I remember myself being in college and we were in our final years and there were freshers always, and when the parents come with this to with the kids and they are asking what the college is like, how the stream is. Then also and today also, when one of the parents come to me and they say that our child wants to pursue architecture or design, what is your advice? So my advice firstly is, the field is very glamorous. It is very easy to get lost, no doubt about it. But if you're not ready to do hard work, don't step into it. It is actually true, you will have sleepless nights. What you have faced in your education does not end there for us. There will be times there are still times when I get alarming wake-up calls, not phone calls, alarming wake-up calls from my mind that, oh, I've forgotten this, I have not done this is happening there. There is a lot of chaos that will happen in your life and you need to work really hard to manage it. And but luckily this is one field where you will face something new every day. There will never be a moment that will be ever dull.
It'll always be exciting,
challenging and active
and pushing you.
And if you think that you cannot face that, then this is not meant for you. Then it is not meant for you.
Right. But at the end of the day, I think what you're doing is impacting somebody's life for the next 10 years, how they spend their time, how they spend their family moments. I mean,
You can have your own lifestyle, but definitely you cannot imagine yourself not being a part of the house that you're making or the part of the space that you're designing. Be it a room, be it a complete house, be it a hotel, be it a complete city. You need to feel yourself a part of that.
so I would like to share here. I recently went to Matlani's house, and just casually, I just went to meet them, how they're enjoying the space and all. And very beautiful thing he said, Kamalji. He said, इस घर का हर कोना हम एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, हर स्पेस में हम लोग बैठ के ना वी क्रिएट स्टोरीज. इट्स लाइक वो चाहे वो बार और बार स्टूल हो, चाहे उनके बच्चों के रूम में वो जो चेयर्स हो, दे सेड वी सिट हियर फॉर आवर्स एंड वी आर टॉकिंग एंड वी डोंट गेट टायर्ड. And we sit at the dining table and we are creating stories. And we are sitting in the balcony and we are creating stories. Very beautiful thing. We are creating moments and stories. And I think,
It is very true. When you make a house, like between me and my wife, this is very common conversation that we have, and this is what our deduction is. If a couple is ever able to make a house on their own, husband and wife, obviously there'll be arguments. But if you're able to successfully make a house that you are able to enjoy, then trust me, your bond is strongest ever. It is at its peak.
very true. I think that is the biggest litmus test.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's a great insight. that अगर आपने वो survive कर लिया मतलब.
So if you are able to enjoy a house after it is being done, nothing like it. You are at the peak of your bond.
I mean, I think I see you delivering homes doing that, and I've met families after you delivered home, and that 2 months after, and they're enjoying their spaces.
Thank you
so I
so
think
much. Thank you so much.
that's great work, and goes to say that you're creating moments for them for years.
Let's hope so. It goes that way.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Ankur. We have had a great journey so far, and it's my experience with TIS that what actually matters is we are designers. We are designing for a particular family. We know what the requirements are, but your inputs and your experiences specifically in that area definitely help us a lot. It's not that, trust me, we are also, being a designer also, we are not perfect. There are moments where your understanding will help us a lot. And that is what my experience has been with you so far. And it is amazing to get those insights. We have done our specific kind of clients, but you have done a vast variety. You have not just worked with one designer or one architect. You have had multiple of those opportunities. You have multiple of those platforms. Learning from your experiences matters a lot. And your fine-tuning, your detailing, definitely. Everything adds, it's a plus point for us. And please do that. Or keep doing that. Keep motivating us also in that way. So that we also get to learn more and more from your experience as well.
Thank you, Chandraji.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me once again.
And great conversation we had, great insights you shared. So thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you.
Hope you got some takeaways from today's episode. Do type in your comments below if you experienced something similar.